Everyone, it's Attorney Matthew Legan Sanchez here. Do you have questions about how assets and debts are divided during divorce? If so, then you need to listen to this video. New Mexico is a community property state. That means that any assets or debts that are accumulated during your marriage, there's a presumption that it's community property and it's going to be split 50-50. With property and assets, any asset that you accumulated during the divorce, car, a home, bank account money, retirement account, any of that is going to be presumed to be community property and split 50-50. So even if your name or your spouse's name is not on the other person's car that was purchased during the marriage, the equity in the car is potentially community property that can be split 50-50. Same with retirement account, same with a home, same with any asset that's purchased. It's a common misperception that just because one spouse's name's not on an account, it's not community property, and that's not the case. Any community property, for the most part, that is accumulated during the marriage is going to be split 50-50. There are exceptions to the rule. Some exceptions that are common are inheritances, bequests, if it was a gift from someone, pain and suffering settlements. Those are considered separate property, and those are going to be distributed 50-50. But otherwise, most of the stuff that you get during your marriage, it's going to be considered community property, and it's probably going to be split 50-50. Debt is the same as asset. Do you have a debt that was accumulated during the marriage? Did you accumulate credit card debt, medical debt, any debt? That's probably going to be community debt, and it's going to be split 50-50. Tax debt, for instance, 50-50. So if you're not aware of your tax information, if you're in the dark with your tax information or with your financial information, if you think that divorce is looming, now is the time to shine a light on that and to get a clear picture of what's going on. Because what you don't know, it can hurt you in divorce. If you don't know that your spouse has a ton of credit card debt and medical debt or tax debt, it's going to haunt you during divorce. So you're going to need to shine a light on that so you're not haunted like a ghost in the night. With debt also, a big issue that's commonly brought up is student loan debt. So there's a presumption that debt during the marriage is going to be community debt split 50-50, okay? Now, student loan debt, there's not case law on the issue, but what most judges do with student loan debt is that the debt that was paid for tuition or for books, that's going to be considered the person that accumulated it, their separate debt, because they're leaving the marriage with the benefit of education and training. But if there was student loan debt that was used to support the community, meaning you use part of your student loan payment to pay the mortgage, to buy food, to basically just live on, now that can be considered community debt and split 50-50. But like a lot of issues with family law, it's really going to determine or decide who your judge is. So if your judge is a judge that says, nope, it's all community debt, then it's going to be really hard to appeal that because there's no case law on the issue. But most of the judges that I've seen, that I've talked to, they believe that it's the student loan debt that's used to support the community that's community debt and can be split 50-50. You may be thinking, well, I didn't know what debt my spouse is accumulating. I didn't know that they were going to fancy meals and that they were spending money on body enhancement and that they were racking up credit cards. It's not fair. Like, why should I be straddled with that debt? I didn't know. It's going to be really difficult for you to show that that's separate debt. The court usually doesn't like to get into an accounting. Judges don't consider themselves bookkeepers that are going to go line by line and consider, oh, this one was community, that's not community. Judges don't look at themselves as an auditor. They're not going to want to go line by line down the bank account. So the better practice is be aware of your accounts if you think divorce is coming up. Because if your spouse is racking up a ton of debt on vacations or food or eating out or whatever, what have you, entertainment, it's going to be extremely tough for you to show that that didn't benefit the community and that should be separate debt. So it's always your best practice to be aware of what's going on during the marriage or you may have some problems during your divorce. Another common question is, can I get the ring back? Am I entitled to the ring? So how that's handled is, a ring is conditioned on marriage. So if you give an engagement ring and you don't get married, then you can be entitled to the ring back because it's conditioned on marriage. Now, if you're married though, no, you fulfilled the bargain for agreement, the court's gonna say, sorry, you're not entitled to that back. So it's really gonna turn on, are you engaged but you never got married? Yeah, you're probably gonna be able to get the ring back. Are you engaged but you then got married? You're not going to be able to get the ring back because it was conditioned on marriage. Do you still have questions about how community property is divided and whether it's separate or community property? Do you have questions about your assets and your debts that were accumulated during the marriage? If so, call me. Call attorney Matthew Ligon Sanchez. Call me at 505 Sanchez and we'll get to the bottom of your case.